If you've been wondering what's happening in Zimbabwe, well, here's an update. Now, the country held special elections on Saturday for 9 seats in parliament after opposition lawmakers were removed from the oppositions and disqualified from running again. The opposition called it an illegal push by the ruling Zanu-PF party to bolster its parliamentary majority and possibly change the constitution. Now, this may allow President Emmerson Mnangagwa, who is 81 years old, who was re-elected for a second and final term in August amid international and regional criticism, to run for another term. But as you might have already figured, the by-elections across 9 constituencies were marred by voter apathy. We're about to find out why. Well, joining us to have this conversation, we have Tawanda, Raymond Mutungama, a political analyst in Harare, Zimbabwe. Thank you so much, Tawanda, for joining us.
You're welcome.
Now, Tawanda, Zimbabwe held special elections on Saturday for 9 seats in parliament after the opposition lawmakers were removed from the oppositions and were disqualified from running again. Let's start off with that. Can you tell us why that happened?
Okay, so there was a recall of legislators by a Secretary General who had emerged. He's a member of the opposition, but with probably no basis to recall the other members. And this came from a strategy which was like a structureless strategy, where instead of showing and explaining how the party is structured, that CCC, they opted to be secretive about their structure and how they go, and to protect themselves. But however, this backfired by not having a clear Secretary General and someone, let's say, single purported or like recalled members as the lead Secretary General of the party, and eventually, like, these members were recalled, and by them being recalled, this opens up for a primary election to replace them. And once this was done, it created vacancies, and the High Court then eventually said the ones who were recalled cannot contest again, and by virtue of this would lead to apathy, because people who are supported by probably the majority of the people would not be for election. So, and probably the end game would be like the 2/3 majority for the ruling party, which I think now, since 9 of the seats were taken, 7 of the seats were taken out of the 9. It has now been attained, and probably we'll see stability in the recalls and the contestation, and also probably big decisions being made in Parliament by the ruling party, which was not possible before this. So it's a major change, and these changes may also see the change the constitution to stop term limits. So it's quite exciting.
Okay. Now, I mean, what role do you think that international and regional criticism of the President Mnangagwa's re-election played in voter apathy and in the constitution generally?
For me, I think it has no role in this. I think the apathy is people get tired, but of election after election. We just had elections in August, so now we were in December. So if we say September, October, November, 3 and in 3 months, it's a short time to have this. So, and in a way, I would say it's actually a strategy, because when people are not involved, it's a strategy, like for those who are contesting to use and to utilize. So definitely, it's a strategy that works for the ruling party when people get tired.
Okay. Now, if I'm to ask you, I mean, this political tension will definitely have an impact on Zimbabwe as a whole. What, in your own opinion, could that be?
For me, I would say the overall impact is already there, like economic challenges. Already people are leaving the country in numbers, like professional, um, smart people, like skilled people. So I think this will increase and probably work negatively for the country because we'll lose key talent and for us to prosper, I think we need to be united. So I think both the ruling party and the opposition should find each other, negotiate, and come up with a government which is shared. And this way, the country will prosper. People will be very happy, and we'll see a paradigm shift in the affairs of the nation. Thank you.
All right. Now, another very important development is that with this new development, it means that they may allow President Emmerson Mnangagwa, who is 81, who was re-elected for a second and his final term in August, to run again for another term. Wouldn't that be the case?
Well, it's a possibility. It's a possibility, but of course we will not know what exactly what lies ahead. But it is a possibility. And also, I think we've had that precedent in the past. Like as a nation, I think we have been led by elder. The former president was an elder up to his 90s. He was in office, so it won't be a strange precedent to be something that has happened before and could happen again. Because also this change on term limits came as a negotiation in the 2013 constitution, and probably it does not sit well with others. And the purpose or the reason why politicians do politics is to keep power. So yes, expect it to happen.
Well, we'll see how that turns out. Now, there also seems to be kind of a conflicting opinion because, I mean, while some people think that democracy has been truncated, the Zanu-PF's communications director, Farai Marapura, described Zanu-PF's victory in 7 of the 9 contested seats as an indication that democracy is strong in Zimbabwe. So some people feel like democracy has been truncated, while others feel like democracy is being upheld. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it goes back on the definition of democracy and probably how as an African people would like to define ourselves. What is it to us? In China, they do it in a different way, which is more meritocracy. On what have you done? Show us the CV on your achievements, then you can go ahead. And probably in the US, it's different. So probably as Zimbabwe, we need to question ourselves: what is our own democracy, or how have our people governed themselves in the past? How do we choose leaders? And is this way of choosing leaders through elections working for us, or it needs to be adjusted so that we come with a model which is sustainable, which will bring confidence in whoever is leading? Because when you are leading and there's support from the people, you can make difficult decisions. You can make austerity, and you get the support from the people. So what I'll say is let's define our own leaders and execute it.
So, in all, right, with all of this happening, do you think, in your own opinion, that this is what Zimbabwe needs now? I mean, looking at how there's been a lot of debt burden on the country, there's been a lot of political tension. What do you think the fate of the country will be going forward if they can't even decide who's supposed to, step in next?
Well, everything rises and falls on leadership. This is according to the words of John Maxwell. So if this process gives us the right people, then things will rise. And if it's giving the wrong ones, then things will go southward. So it's a matter of time. I think it will not take a year or two to eventually get an outcome of what this process has produced for us. So let's wait and see, and probably be on this platform to say, has this helped us or not? But what is certain is everything rises and falls on leadership. And if we are not choosing the right leaders, we are going south. Thank you.
Right. And with all of this, right, we see that a lot of this is what is affecting, the voters, that is making them not want to come out in their numbers to vote. So has there been any effort to address voter apathy in Zimbabwe?
Sorry, can you come again? I did not hear the question.
Yes, so basically I was saying that all of these things are the reasons why voters did not come out in their numbers to vote in the last election. Has there been any effort made since then to tackle voter apathy so that it won't happen again the next time?
Well, in politics, voter apathy is a strategy. So it can be used again and again if it's working. So I don't think those who benefit from it will do anything about it. And those who don't benefit will need to do something to encourage people to come out. But certain people get power. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, Tawanda, we seem to be losing you. I would love to ask you one last question. We'll give it a try and see that if we can get you clearly. Now, I think it's expedient to ask, right? If Emmerson Mnangagwa is allowed to run for a third term, do you think that it's going to give Zimbabweans an edge? Do you think that he performed well in his last two terms and Zimbabweans will trust him for a final term?
I think above all, what is important is peace. So if we're peaceable, we'll prosper because children will go to school, children will graduate and start working. So if as long as we are peaceable, I think any leader would either Nelson Chamisa or Emmerson Mnangagwa. So as long as we can keep our peace and then.
But then again, don't you think that this is going to set a precedent? And as a result, don't you think that going forward, people in power would want to stay longer because, of course, it has started from here? Tawanda, are you there? All right, unfortunately, I think we're having issues with Tawanda's audio, but the update still remains that in Zimbabwe, a lot of people refuse to turn out, and that's because there's been a political unrest recently. Some people in the ruling Zanu-PF party have said that the parliamentary and majority may have a possible change in the constitution, and because of that, some people have been asked to step down. Some have been removed from the opposition. Now, the most probable thing that might happen is that the 81-year-old Emmerson Mnangagwa, who was re-elected for a second term and a final term in August, making 2 terms and should be stepping down anytime from now, might now be allowed to run again for another term. And we all know how politics play out, where these kind of things sets precedents. And after now, the political landscape might change because a lot of people now want to do 3 terms because Mnangagwa was allowed 3 terms. But Zimbabwe held special elections for 9 seats in parliament after opposition lawmakers were removed from positions and disqualified from running again. We're still waiting to get updates from that, and definitely as we get the updates, we're going to keep you posted. But that has been the updates in Zimbabwe and their elections. Regarding what they have been doing to tackle voter apathy, well, basically there's not much that a country can do. If the political unrest still persists, the people might be reluctant to vote. So we're hoping that there is stability in the political sector. I'm going to give it one more try. Tawanda, can you hear us? One last question. We're wrapping up anyways. What is your hope for Zimbabwe as a country, especially in terms of the politics and governance?
that we come up with a strategy to choose for the mark among us, most hardworking people of producing work. That it may be the basis of a leader, since everything rises and falls on leaders or leadership. And I think this is what will make our nation prosper. And yes, I'm hopeful because Zimbabwe is a great nation and it has got talented people. So the future is bright.
I mean, Zimbabwe is indeed a great nation. The future is bright. And just like you said, everything rises and falls on leadership. And Zimbabwe does, deserve to have the best of leaders, right? Would you say that in terms of leadership, would you say that the economic crisis and some of the issues that Zimbabwe is having right now is basically caused by the way things are run in governance? Would you say that it has anything to do with that?
Yes. This is rise and fall on leadership.
All right, Tawanda, we didn't get the last thing you said because we're still having audio issues, but I know that you did repeat that everything does rise and fall on leadership, so we're hoping that the country does get the best of leaders. Is there any other, issue aside the political crisis that we can say might be causing some of the economic issues that Zimbabwe is facing? Once again, thank you so much, Tawanda, for joining us. Thank you for your time with us on the news. And of course, we're going to be looking to you for more updates. Tawanda Raymond Mutungama, political analyst, Harare, Zimbabwe. We appreciate your time with us. Thank you. Well, this is where we call it a wrap on Village Square Africa. We've talked about Zimbabwe, and of course, we've talked about the oil refinery, Dangote oil refinery. For Dangote, we're hoping that it just gets better from here, and we're hoping that it doesn't only have a positive impact on the refinery itself, but also for the nation at large, regardless of the issue that happened 3 months ago, where people were lamenting that the refinery is going to be selling fuel to them in dollars and not in naira. But all the same, we're hoping that this eases the stress of Nigerians generally. And in Zimbabwe, we're hoping that the political unrest is resolved, and then there is a resolution. And of course, governance is seamless for the people, because just like Tawanda said, everything rises and falls on leadership. And we do hope for a better economy for Zimbabwe as well. Thank you so much for watching. Do join us again in our subsequent episodes as we talk about issues as they pertain to the African continent. My name is Blessings Mosugu, and this has been VSA.